Okay, we're gonna kick it off with Audit LA. Uh, could you state your name and which agenda items you will comment on for the record?
Yes, Audit LA I go by, and good afternoon, first of all, to everybody. And I would like to speak on 3, 6, 7, 8, and 9 as best as possible within the time limit.
Hey, would you like to use the 5 minutes?
Yes, please, yes, the 5 minutes, please.
Oh, sounds great. We're ready when you are.
Okay, I do want to touch on number 3, the meeting minutes. I want to give you guys an A plus. In fact, I am sending a copy of your minutes to Public Works because they get an F. Because they do not talk about at all. They just said public comment was taken, and that is it. So you're stellar there. Then I'm going to skip to 9. I'm going to bounce around. When it comes to request for future agenda items, but I'm going to start with number C. Ask staff to research issues and report back to the commission at a future time. I am going to ask you to research Scientology, okay? And it is relevant because you have several neighborhood councils within the area and districts. I can name like several, like one tonight. Central Hollywood has a meeting tonight. They're in the area. NoHo is also within the area, so is East Hollywood. So it's very relevant. Not only do you need to do research on what Scientology is, and I'm going to call on, Mr. Len Schaefer. You know, you understand what Scientology is about. I know you do because of your job as the district attorney years and years and years ago and the Allard case, where you were actually the hero, actually, in that scenario. And I thank you for how you handled that case. So you know that the people coming here talking about Scientology, it's very real, and it does, and you know what they do. You know about fair gaming. You know about how they get involved in government. They do get involved in the neighborhood councils and different councils. Okay, and you're well aware of this, sir. So I would ask you to please ask the board to for them to educate themselves. I am willing to, and we all are, who come here about Scientology are willing to help with that process. We are not here as enemies of BONC. We are here because we want our communities and our government to understand how Scientology operates and how they have operated and how we're not tolerating that operation any longer. They're not going to own our city. They're not going to own our neighborhood councils. And you guys need to get educated on this. Then I'm going to skip to 9B, request for future agenda items. I am asking that you put on the agenda item to discuss having training for you guys and for any person on the NC. I'm not talking about like this, the ethics training like in the beginning. I'm talking like maybe on on the upper levels of City Hall, have a dinner thing and have somebody come in and discuss high control groups, what they look like, what to look for, how they interact. It doesn't have to be Scientology specific because there may be other groups that you're dealing with and you're just not aware of it, and you need to be aware of it. You know, especially in this city, Scientology is the number one, and you do need to be aware. You do need to know this is a serious topic, and what they're involved in and everything. So I am asking that you please put on an agenda item that you guys will have more discussions and more training on what high control, and also not only that, but also like when you have victims, like you're going to have Lara FM. She's a victim of a born and raised in Scientology victim, to know how to speak with a victim, okay, of a high control group. It is different, okay? They all have PTSD. They all come with, and with different things, and you need to know how to talk with in a way that makes them feel safe. Because sometimes they may be agitated. They might be because they're frustrated. They have a city that has not understood what they have gone through and has endorsed and helped Scientology, but not the victims. So you need to educate yourselves and like thoroughly on how to address and work with victims, and also with people who are coming forward. If we're protesters, okay, we shouldn't be dismissed as if we're, some kind of what, I don't know what you want to think of us. We're here because we care about children. We care about victims. We care about them having like endless, like permits and stuff, and nothing being addressed. Like all the fraud, just different things going on. So, you need to know how to handle us as well. Then I'm going to skip up to number 7, code of conduct. Okay, code of conduct, is a lot of what I just discussed. Okay, how do you handle people? Like, sometimes I'll be honest, I feel like we were not treated 100% properly when we're coming to this board at first. There's just a lot of just, knocking off, like, oh, you're out of, off topic or whatever in a rude way and stuff. And it's not, there's no reason to be rude. I mean, you sit there and you go on, Mr. Schaefer, and this is no disrespect, but you spent like a long time talking about, oh, about the rules and everything. And oh, we apologize if you hear anything you don't want to hear, and you don't need to apologize for the.
Your speaking time for this item is ended. Okay, we're going to go over to Georgina McP. Could you please state your name, which items you will speak on, and how many minutes of the 5 will you be utilizing?
Georgina McP, item 4, 5, 9B, and 7.
Are you going to use the 5 minutes or how many?
5 minutes would be good. I don't know if I'll actually end up using the whole 5 minutes. I'll probably yield back time at the end.
Okay, that sounds good. We're ready when you are.
Yeah, I also want to talk about the requests for future items. I really feel like the debate that's been going on about L. Ron Hubbard Way needs to be investigated further. I don't understand why we have a street named after a court convicted human trafficking cult leader. They have been guilty of numerous crimes. We don't have a Charles Manson way. Why do we have an L. Ron Hubbard way? It makes absolutely no sense to me. They're trying to get that street onto themselves entirely. So they're basically trying to steal valuable property from this city. They went out at night and painted that curb red and removed the parking and put up no parking signs. So they've stolen valuable real estate from the citizens of that neighborhood. And I don't understand that, given such circumstances, that they're being continually entertained with all of these various permits, and particularly their street permit. For the code of conduct, I believe there needs to be some accountability for the fact that they're still given permits, even though they have violated every permit that they've had in the past year. They close off the sidewalk and deny public access to the sidewalk. They deny public access to the street. So why isn't the people that are in power to grant these permits, why aren't they being held accountable when they've been continuously called out about the permit what's the word? I'm sorry, I'm nervous. The permit failures. They've been constantly negligent with that. They'll show the permit request and not the actual permit. Well, the permit request and the permit state different rights and different terms. So when someone comes up and says, "Oh, your permit's not displayed," which one violation right there, they will show them the permit request. So they claim they have all these rights that they don't, in fact, have with that permit. And they continuously violate these permits. It needs to be addressed. It needs to be looked into further. I don't understand why they are given permission to violate those permits. If it had been any public citizen or any other group, essentially, they would be called out on their permit violations and denied future permits. And I think Scientology needs to be denied future permits as a consequence of their actions. And I appreciate you taking the time to hear me today, and I yield back my time.
Thank you. Next up, we're going to go to Lara FM. Lara, could you please state your name, which item you will be speaking on, and how many of the 5 minutes you'll be utilizing?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, my name is Lara Anderson. I'll just be speaking on minutes and 9B-ish, and also adding to what everybody just said. I agree as well.
Okay.
I'll probably only use 2 minutes just to be fair with everybody, and I just want to be very clear. So
Okay, that's fine.
I'm ready when you are.
We're ready.
Okay, so yeah, again with what Audit LA said, I am honored. I feel so honored, and like as a child gone through this, I feel so supported, not just for me, but for people who are still struggling in Scientology, like my parents. Leonard, I've done research. You've known about Scientology stuff, and whether you can talk about stuff or not, you do know the abuses and the in-depth control that they have and that they still do have, of course, after all of these years. So here I am getting fired from my job a month ago because of their harassment to my job that I had worked for 15 years after I left Scientology. These are members of the community that literally helped me unbrainwash myself from the cult. And now I no longer can work for them because of Scientology's harassment. So the integrity first on the board should be there. For somebody, there's multiple people inside of Scientology in the organization that would be amazing to actually have and be paid properly on the board. Neighborhood councils. I have friends that I'll always be called my friends because they left the cult of Scientology as kids with me. We didn't know the rules, but now they want to be a part of the board, and they feel afraid. They feel that, well, Janet Whelan's on the board. How is that even acceptable? How is somebody who only gets paid $47 a week under torture and distress? She looks like my own mother. You guys, this isn't about hate to Janet Whelan or Scientology. This is about abuses that are allowed, that have been sunken into all the way down into the neighborhood council meetings. So it's coming from a very strong, loving, heartful place of care and community. I live in Northeast Hollywood area. I live right by the Scientology Blue Buildings, knowing my father is there washing, scrubbing dishes under $47 a week. And here we have people on a neighborhood council board who know better. You guys know better. And maybe this is the first time you're hearing it from the public, from the city voices and stuff like this, but this is a serious matter and it's not going away. And when we find out that there's more people involved in Scientology from the 80s and the 60s and 70s, it makes us think that people on the current boards currently are not on our sides, or they themselves are afraid to speak out because it's too much trouble, or maybe you're about to leave the board and you don't want to stir the pot. But that's not your saying. You can't do that. It's us now. We're 40. We're 40, and now we're the new people coming on the board saying this is not okay. So thank you for listening. I yield my time. But please stop giving permits and go-tos to Scientology that are using it to destroy the community and families and lying and saying it's something else.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we're going to go to Henry. Henry, could you please state your name, which items you'll be speaking on, and how many of the 5 minutes you'll be utilizing?
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Henry, speaking on behalf of myself, and I'll be speaking on all agenda items. I'll bounce around. I'll start to speak at 6, go down 7, 8, and then go back up to 3.
Okay, how many minutes will you be using?
All 5, please.
Okay, we're ready.
Thank you. To echo some remarks made by Audit LA, I do want to commend the board on expressly stating in their meeting minutes the comments issued by the public, whereas many other commissions and committees, in fact, do not do so. They merely just state that comment was taken, but do not actually record the particulars of the comment. I want to talk about item number 6. I believe it has to do with SB 707. There was a motion made by Councilmember Padilla regarding the feasibility and report particular to the cost and software licenses and technology assets potentially required to hold public comment and be in compliance with SB 707. I spoke to this board before the last time regarding that matter. I, in fact, do have a CPRA that I published from the Information Technology Agency, the ITA, that definitively shows, in fact, the city does not need to purchase any more assets, and the city, in fact, gets the entire Zoom platform for free for all city agencies, this board and neighborhood councils included. And so I hope you can relay that information over to the city council as I have, because the matter of the fact is, from the ITA's own mouth, the city is already in full compliance to SB 707. They just merely need to reopen their books and actually start taking virtual public comment, but they are in full compliance. They do not need to spend any money. They already have everything they need, and Zoom is free for all city agency, period, point blank. I want to talk about some other issues regarding ethics in commission business. So my problem is that I know definitively that several NC board members have been getting harassed, and vitriol has been spoken to them to slander people who have actually been reporting and doing a lot of investigative work on government involvement and collusion with criminal rings in the city, not the least of which, amongst many others, being Scientology. I know for a fact, actually, that the LA DA's office, several of the citizen board commissions, in fact, several people from Scientology have told the leaders of those boards that are supposed to be staffed by regular citizens to not accept certain names, not the least of which being myself and Audit and other go-getters. And that is a problem to me, because that is showing clear signs of collusion and conspiracy, not only at the neighborhood council level to harass board members and threaten to take away resources, but also at the DA's office. And if that's not indicative of clear government conspiracy to harass critics of Scientology for political motives, then I don't know what is. I want to talk about another issue that has been going on for quite some time, and it's the matter of commission ethics, where board members on an NC serving on on the commission board as well. And I can actually point to you a very specific example of where this ethics violation actually takes place right now. Over at East Hollywood Neighborhood Council, the one particular neighborhood council which the city attorney continues to harass the board members, threatening them with frivolous litigation that is not at all, that has zero legal standing. One of the people, Jeff Zeranem, I've mentioned it before, serves on the bid as well as the business committee and has personal businesses in the same district to which he is supervising grants and issuing of funding towards. How that could possibly not be an ethics violation is beyond me. The matter of the fact is that is a very clear ethics violation. You can't have a guy who has direct vested business interest also be the same guy issuing funds for that area. And not to the least to mention that Jeff has also touted to remove his glorious venue of the hotel for the East Hollywood Neighborhood Council as a meeting location, as direct part and parcel resulting from the activism and investigative reporting that people have talked about with links to Scientology. If that doesn't scream political favors and motives and threatening of NC board members, I don't know what will. This is a big problem. This is showing repeatedly clear conspiracy of government and criminal enterprises. I want to also mention a final thing. I know definitively also from another CPRA obtained by the Information Technology Agency that executive leaders at the Bureau of Street Services, in fact, are the only ones who can amend public website links, including special events permits. It is, in fact, the Bureau of Street Services executives that deleted and removed all special events permit details from the public as a deliberate political action to aid in suppressing information to the public by Scientology's favor.
Thank you. Your speaking time for this item is ended. Audit LA, you are being unmuted.
Thank you again. I want to expand on something that Georgina McPhee and Henry said. When it comes to the N and connecting it to the NCs, when it comes, Georgina was talking about like the permits and the different permits for L. Ron Hubbard Way, and how that directly connects to the NCs is that by law they are required to notify the local NCs that they are planning a street closure permit. Um, but that has not been happening. So, and I know that for a fact, okay, from different NCs. So they are required to do that. And in fact, when I tell the NCs that, they don't even realize that that's part of the requirement. And that's why they're supposed to apply for them 40 days in advance to give time. But mostly of the time lately, they doing it within maybe 8 to 10 days. and they pay the extra fee and fine or whatever for that, but it doesn't give the NCs the time to deal with it, because like East Hollywood Neighborhood Council, that's their area for L. Ron Hubbard Way. And so they are always being deprived that right to know what's going to be happening in their community. So I'm asking you to investigate that. And I will also back what Henry's saying about Jeff Zernan. He owns the hotel where East Hollywood meets, okay? And he is on the bid also, which his co-person is a very high-level Scientologist. And he has not been having meetings basically because they don't, want any protesters or anyone coming and advocating against, Scientology, even though it's that area. And also, and that affects the NCs because he holds a certain power over the East Hollywood NC, okay? But he owns their property. He is, like Henry said, granting, doing business, and there's a conflict of interest, and that needs to be investigated.
Your speaking time for this item has ended. Next up, we're going to go to Georgina McP.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I want to basically reiterate what I said before about that street being named after a court convicted human trafficking cult leader. He is known to have orchestrated the largest infiltration of the federal government, also convicted of that. I'm not just speaking out my ass. These are facts. And yet we have a neighborhood street named after him. He is out of ethics with the Navy service he provided. How has he not been called out? Why is there a street named after him? We don't have a Charles Manson way, and there's a good reason for that. We don't have a Jesus Christ way, but yet we have a L. Ron Hubbard way. It makes no sense to me to allow them to steal that street. They have literally gone out and taken that street and made it no parking when there was parking on that street as recently as 2008. And now, even though no records have changed the access to that street, there's no public filing that shows that they have any rights to the street. And yet we've allowed them to go out in the cover of darkness, paint that curb red and take down the signs and put up no parking signs and steal valuable property from the neighborhood and from our city. I don't understand why they aren't being prosecuted for this and called out. That street would be immensely beneficial for the entire neighborhood, especially for the two major hospitals that are just at the opposite end of that street. It needs to be opened up and given back to the people of this neighborhood. Thank you very much. I yield back my time.
Thank you. Next up, we're going to go to Lara FM.
Thank you. So, yeah, and on my general public comment, I'm adding to what Antics just said, and Georgina and Audit and everybody else. We've gone to Public Works. We've asked them to revoke the permit for L. Ron Hubbard Way to bring it back to North Berendo Street. We've asked them to stop doing permits and giving them these fake recruitment, money draining recruitment events in our neighborhoods, to stop giving them to Scientology. What people wonder, how are they getting away with this? This is how. This is why, because the neighborhood council meetings and the boards are not doing anything about it because they're afraid of it, or they think it's too big for them. Well, guess what? It's too big for us as kids in it. It's too big for anybody. And if you allow an organization like this to be in existence in Los Angeles, it's going to take over everything, just like any other cancer virus would do. It's looking like it's pretty and it's helpful and it's good for the neighborhoods. And it's literally a freaking recruitment, human trafficking scam. And if anybody on the board is afraid to expose that and, show what the truth is about Scientology, then don't be on the neighborhood council board, because you're not helping. Scientology puts you in a position where you think you're helping and you're not. It's a manipulative scheme. They're using up our city. So this is serious. From a child born and raised in this, please do something about it. Please, this week, do something about what we keep saying constantly. I'll yield my time.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have Henry?
Thank you. I want to start off with a couple things. So first off, I think this board would behoove itself for, be it a public service announcement, you can just call it board regular business as an agenda item to discuss the look back window that Gavin Newsom opened up to actually prosecuting uh, people who have preyed on people and sexually assaulted and abused them. Particularly, I believe now it's a 5 to 7 year look back window for those that were victims as adults of sexual abuse, particularly from religious institutions. I want to go back to a point I made regarding the Bureau of Street Services. I did a CPRA, like I said, to the ITA, Information Technology Agency, and they verified that indeed it is only Bureau of Street Services executives that specifically can amend, delete, hide any sort of public links available specifically on the Bureau of Street Services website. And so that means at the very minimum, Keith Mose of the Bureau of Street Services is implicated to doing political favors for criminal motives at a bare minimum. That is from the ITA's own mouth. And from what I've seen, city agencies are absolutely sick and tired of having any sort of ties with this criminal racket. So the fact that the ITA just boldly put it out there that they're done with this shenanigans and immediately implicated Keith Mose and the rest of his leadership goes to show quite a bit. I want to bring to your attention the date of December 8th over in Riverside County Historic Superior Courthouse. I'll be having my first hearing on a writ of mandate I wrote to get the public record, the police report regarding the wrongful death of a Scientologist who was actually the daughter of infamous Kendrick Moxon. You're all invited to attend. The Riverside County Sheriff, for my opinion, is complicit, and they're hiding these records and how they basically killed this innocent young woman. So,
Thank you. Your speaking time for this item is ended. Next up, we're going to go to Ivonne.
Thank you. I'm going to request that the board really seriously take a look at that. You as a board and the neighborhood councils are not calculated in the lead up time as to have appropriate input information so that you can address public works or the city council. Each time the comment is no input from the neighborhood council, and it's impossible for you to have input because you don't have enough lead time in order to have an agenda item, discuss it, and then be able to vote and present at either council or other board meetings. This is a particular problem in film permits, special event permits, building permits, conditional use permits. And yes, it's a particular problem with Scientology. And at Hollywood Boulevard, you're going to have an event that is going to be constructed or erected over the next week. It won't start until the 30th, and it will continue until the 1st. That requires a building safety permit, not just a special event or a conditional use permit. The agencies involved need to back up your city, your neighborhood councils so that you can be proud to host events in your community rather than answering into tragedies and lawsuits. The problem with Scientology in particular is one we are aware of after having.
Thank you. Your speaking time for this item is ended. We have children's voices. We're going to go over to you.
Yes, greetings. My name is Children's Voices Matter and Public Comment. I just wanted to bring up the fact that currently right now, Scientology has several lawsuits brought up against it, which establishes a pattern of criminal behavior. And I'm very perplexed as to why more is not being done about the abuses and crimes being done to the adults as well as the children within the Scientology confines. And that truly is all I had to bring up. Thank you for your time. I yield back my time.
Thank you.